For most of San Diego, Barrio Logan is probably a nebulous area somewhere between downtown and National City. But in reality, the barrio has precise geographical borders. And within those borders are some cultural and economical boundaries that are perhaps not so accurately defined. In this series of reports, we're going to show you the people in the barrio and how they're living and working within each of those boundaries. This is what the word barrio means to most San Diegans. It calls to mind visions of authentic Mexican food like that served at Las Cuatro Milpas. Petra Natividad Estudio have a booming lunch business. They begin filling up the $1.25 plates at 11 a.m. with tamales, tacos, beans, chorizo, and rice. They don't stop till well after 2. Each day they have their regular customers, but there always seems to be the newcomers.
Oh yes, I've known Donati for years, and they're very nice people, and the price is very good for the food they give you. They give you quite a bit of food, you know.
You can't find that in Claremont?
No way.
This is my first time here. I'd heard about it a lot, so I came down today. I had to come down on business, over to Memorial Junior High School, and I love Mexican food, so I came.
Was it what you thought it would be?
Yeah, they said it was a very modest place with good food, and that's what it is.
I'm from Oceanside, and a friend of mine knows this place for a long time. And he says they serve pretty good food over here. That's why we come. We've got business to do in San Diego. That's why we are here.
The Estudio's restaurant has been open a little more than 10 years. The couple has been in the barrio for 49 years. They opened a small grocery store in the 30s, but the declining residential population forced them to try to attract business from the growing working community. Petra Estudio, for all her 74 years, does not speak English, but it gives her patrons the chance to practice their kitchen Spanish. Petra and Natividad have seen a lot of changes in the barrio. They say they will never leave it. With her son translating, Petra told us, though, she doesn't think the barrio will last another generation.
The people used to live around here still come to visit her. People have moved away from far away, still come to visit her to help her out in her business.
Why does she stay here?
¿Por qué te quedas aquí?
Porque yo ya no me hallo cambiarme en otro lugar.
She could not be herself in any other place.
George Ruiz is another old-timer in the barrio and San Diego. He has lived in this small house next to his small liquor store on National Avenue for the last 39 years. His family once held title to Spanish land grants in this area. He too thinks the barrio will eventually cease to be a Mexican-American neighborhood.
They've all moved south from the barrio.
What about the people that are living here now? Do you expect them to leave too?
Eventually, I think they'll all move. Even myself will move here from time on account of my age, and we have to go one way.
It's safe to say the barrio is definitely going to part ways with its present. Younger residents want to see it regain its stature as a viable community. Industry is working just as hard to maintain its hold on the area that offers easy access to railways, highways, and the bay. In our next report, we'll take you back in time to show you how the current controversies have developed. Judy Elfenbein, News 8, Barrio Logan. For most of the 1800s, Logan Heights was just one of San Diego's rural areas. In the 1880s, it was picked to be one of the city's first residential developments outside of downtown. By the turn of the century, it had become much more urban, the trolley lines heralding neighborhood growth and the railroad tracks the industrial growth. In the 60s, Interstate 5 cut through the Heights. The barrio became that area from Commercial Street to National City, sandwiched in between I-5 and the Bay. Some industry, like NASCO and Campbell, have been entrenched along the bay since the early 1900s. In the 20s, city planners targeted the area for future commercial growth. In the 30s, it was zoned light industrial. Today, more than 50,000 people work in this area, compared to only 2,000 people living here.
I don't consider this a barrio. First of all, the residential use in this area is only 11.8%. This is really an industrial area. It's an industrial community. And barrio means a Mexican neighborhood, which implies that it's all residential. And this is simply not true.
Joseph Fox is general manager of a large recycling plant, Industrial Metals. He also belongs to a new industrial organization that's fighting residents who want to ban some types of businesses.
We feel this is certainly wrong. It's not good for San Diego. It's not good for the community. We realize that there are residences here. Some would like out and some want to stay. We feel that those that want out should be helped out. And if those that want to stay, it's up to us to improve the community, which we have plans underway at the present time, and to make it more palatable for those that want to stay here. But we do not, we cannot agree with any increase in residential use of this area.
Fox says he's not anti-resident, just anti-growth for residential communities there. And some residents say they're not totally anti-industry.
I'm saying that the smaller junkyards, and by that I mean like I guess they would call themselves auto recyclers, auto dismantlers. Those are the ones that really have to start looking elsewhere. And if not, they have to start to clean up their act.
Carlos Castaneda works and lives in the barrio. He also belongs to a group made up of industrialists and residents who are working on a plan for the barrio.
Well, you know, I think that the business community right now is very scared. And the reason that they're scared is because they're listening to people that are making a lot of noise and not really kind of working in, I guess, a professional way. You know, like it's very easy to get the residents riled up to say, well, let's get business out. Well, what the residents are really expecting to hear is, well, let's get obnoxious industry out. But by saying business, you know, you're generalizing too much. And some residents, when they say business, they don't mean business, they mean, you know, dirty junkyards.
Angeles Lira has been working on the city's master plan since 1974. The labor of her efforts calls for mixed use by residents and workers. Both, she feels, have a right to the community.
They have had, you know, more industry coming, they have had the bridge coming and removed more houses, and yet they have withstood all that. So, you know, you can make all kinds of plans that de-emphasize the residential element, but based on past record, I think they will still be here.
Carlos Castaneda, Joe Fox, and anyone else who lives and works in the barrio will have the opportunity to express their feelings. There'll be public hearings on the proposed city plan later this month. But Angeles Lira says unless both sides are willing to compromise, the debate could last for years. Judy Elfenbein, News 8, Barrio Logan. Many who've watched the barrio for the last decade say the attitude of the people who live here has changed. Residents are now willing to fight and to politic for what they want. Take Chicano Park. When the freeways went through, the neighborhood made the city promise them a park. They didn't give up until they had one. Critics of Chicano Park see it as a haven for drug dealers. Supporters see the murals and the playgrounds as something that the people in this community need and deserve. But others see the park not for what it is now, but for what they want it to be in the future.
Chicano Park itself, at first was a dream, but look at it, here it is, right? And eventually I think we're going to get to the bay, and the people feel the same way.
Ramon Sanchez says the Chicano Park Steering Committee is trying to improve the park's image, but some of the criticism is unfair.
You just can't look at Chicano Park and say, just because it's Chicano Park, there's a lot of crime here. There's crime in all the other parks too, you know?
Lowell Elementary School is another rallying point. The community has been after the school district to bring it up to the same level of quality as other schools. They want permanent instead of temporary buildings and a playing field instead of a junkyard. But the teachers also see a need for improving the concept of education. For 5-year-olds, molding clay may be a difficult task, but for their teachers it's infinitely more difficult to make them ready for the first grade. There's a saying at the school that some parents are for education just as long as the school takes care of it. Teachers say many of the youngsters don't begin as well prepared as others in more affluent areas. They say it's not uncommon for some 4- and 5-year-olds not to know their last name, the parts of their body, or the colors. Luis Villegas went through Barrio schools in the 50s. Like many of these students, he initially spoke only Spanish.
Part of my elementary school is somewhat vague to me because I did not understand what was going on. As a matter of fact, 4th grade is a blur. 6th grade is I can remember very well, mainly because the fellow who was my 6th grade teacher is now an assistant superintendent of the city schools, Fletcher.
Now Vegas is the principal at Lowell. He's an enthusiastic educator. He stresses positive self-image for his students and sees bilingual education as a key to keeping his students from going through what he did.
And you're using the words up here.
The school district doesn't know if Lowell students' chances of getting through high school are any better or worse than other elementary school students, but dropouts are a problem. Maria quit school in the 9th grade. Now, 3 years later, she's on her way to special classes. She and 38 other women are enrolled at Harborview Adult School. They take typing and business English.
Right, Maria? Yes. Right? Oh, can you do number 5 for us? You must understand, children, our anxiety, fear, and concern.
So, after children, anxiety, fear, that's where they come from.
Okay, very good.
The program is sponsored by the Padre Hidalgo Center, an agency of the Catholic Church. Maria Williams, who helps recruit the students, says when the course is over, 80% of them will get jobs.
And if they make it, they can also pull other people from their friends, you know, because we get together with people in our own situation.
She also believes, next to religion, education will do the most for the people in the barrio. And she feels that few outsiders will ever really understand the barrio's problems or its needs.
We haven't lived here, we haven't felt. It's not that they're evil or bad, or they're just not good enough. You know, they haven't grown to be in these people's shoes.
Judy Elfenbein, News 8, Barrio Logan.
Radio 95 La Grande, Tijuana, Baja California, México. La hora es informativa, reporta para ustedes Oscar Novato.
¿Eres igual de despacio? No, aquí soy peor. ¿Más lento? ¿Más lento? Sí, como más.
Family life in the barrio is really not much different from family life anywhere else. If anything, families here feel they're more closely knit. The Castanedas and their 2 children have lived in this home for 10 years. Within a block live another son and some cousins. Linda is in high school. Carlos works for a project that finds jobs for barrio youth. He also is working on a city plan that will let people who live in the barrio coexist with those who work in the area. Carlos says he's not blind to the problems in his neighborhood, but that he'll never live outside the barrio either.
I guess it's a question of being brought up in a community, you know, that you identify yourself with. Like, let's say in our case, I mean, you know, we have some roots in this community. For me, it's a question of like seeing my relatives grow up here, you know, like children, they're coming up. I was here when I was young. I went to elementary school here. To me, it's a very beautiful way of life. You know, we've been able to maintain a lot of our cultural heritage.
We also talked to George Ruiz. He's been in the barrio for almost 50 years. Owning a liquor store has made him the target of robbery and petty rip-offs. He thinks crime is a problem, but not any more here than in any other part of San Diego.
I think that crime centers are all over in 4 parts of San Diego, as well as the barrio. We have crime in Pacific Beach, crime in Ocean Beach, crime in Mission Beach, and crime in Tierra Santa, Claremont, Otay, San Isidro, you name it, you got it.
Still, both Ruiz and his wife think the barrio was a good place to rear their children.
I haven't had 5 minutes without trouble with none of my kids. It all starts at home.
One of the innovations in the barrio has been the increase in social services. One that gets special praise is the Barrio Youth Center. It's one of the few places youngsters in the area can go for organized recreation or tutoring. Director Rachel Ortiz has taken the youth center from a small facility in 1970 to its present location, and this month she moves on to an even larger building. Ortiz says the center serves 600 youngsters. They can choose from athletic programs, arts and crafts, or music. Spanish is spoken more than English, but in either language, the youngsters say they have plenty to do.
It's a fun building. You know, there's a lot of activities, and whenever you join something, that you only pay $1 for the whole year, and you can join anything. And there's karate and everything.
We've been told the real adhesive that binds the people to the barrio is this church. Families who do move away come back to be confirmed, married, or their children baptized. On this Sunday, there was a special blessing for Mario Colmenero and his family. He and his wife planned to rededicate their wedding vows on their 50th anniversary. Her death the week before made that impossible. But Mr. Colmenero made the decision to participate in the ceremony with his sons and daughters. And it seems it's this kind of faith that has brought the people of the barrio this far. Judy Elfenbein, News 8, Barrio Logan.